the most astonishing, so bold, so assured, so broad of vision in all things. At the age of 26, he conceived what was scarcely conceivable, and carried out what was deemed impossible. He scaled the Pyrenees and the Alps, then came down into Italy, paying with half his army the price just to attain a battlefield and the right to fight. Hannibal became, for my students, young men and women of the evolving digital age, a larger-than-life action hero from the past. Here was an ancient leader who overcame the elements of nature, beat the odds against survival, won every battle he fought in Italy against the Romans just to lose the war in the end. Why, my students asked, are we so fascinated by this tragic figure? To prepare for this book, I walked in Hannibal's footsteps. Everywhere Hannibal went in the ancient world, I went. I covered every battlefield where he fought, crossed every river and mountain pass he crossed, and visited the site of every ancient city he laid siege to. I began in Tunisia, at Carthage, where Hannibal was born, and ended on the Asian side of Turkey in a small port town where he died. In the course of my travels, I went to Spain, where Hannibal learned to be a soldier and a leader. I visited the ruins of Saguntum, where the war with Rome began, and then followed his path through France, over the Alps, and all through Italy, from the north to the south. I went to Ephesus in Asia Minor, and then to Crete and the ruins of Gortyna, where Hannibal hid in exile. What that experience taught me, and I hope is reflected in my writing, is how important it is for an author to follow in the footsteps of those whose stories he or she is trying to tell, whether it be a Carthaginian Hannibal, a Persian Cyrus, an Athenian Xenophon, a Macedonian Alexander, or a Roman Caesar or Augustus. Seeing where these leaders went and developing even a partial feel for what they must have experienced matters when it comes to trying to bring them to life and recounting for my readers their accomplishments and failures. When it comes to the source materials for the study of Hannibal, nothing new has come to light over the last few decades. Those of us who write about Hannibal all rely on the same Greek and Latin literary sources, and then we try to give them a slightly different spin. The current trend is to question, with some reserve, the accuracy and even usefulness of the ancient sources. A form of political correctness seems to have permeated ancient studies. The ancient Greeks and Romans are viewed with skepticism, either because they are regarded as so biased against Carthage and Hannibal due to their hatred of the Semitic civilization that they purposely distorted their accounts and vilified their enemies, or because they moved in the opposite direction and exaggerated the strength of their enemies to inflate Rome's greatness. So, the sources are either hypercritical of Hannibal or excessively complimentary, making it difficult for any author to sort out which is which and develop a balanced perspective. But Roman attitudes, like most things, changed over time. Hannibal was undoubtedly a terrifying figure in the 3rd century BC, a threat to Rome's very existence. During the war and shortly thereafter, the Romans portrayed him as untrustworthy, perfidious, avaricious, and cruel in nature, a man of inherently violent disposition who lived for one thing: to destroy. But later, that attitude moderated, and by the time of the Empire, Roman writers adopted a positive view of him. Hannibal came to embody the noble adversary, with the virtues and characteristics that had heretofore been reserved for their heroes from antiquity. That image has carried forward over the centuries and into our own time. But as this work will show, Hannibal was a complicated mix of the best and worst in human nature. A man of incredible self-confidence, intelligence, tactical genius, generosity, and compassion on the one hand, and unfathomable cruelty, callousness, and greed on the other. Prologue. The ultimate sacrifice to fulfill an